Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor, and I have an English bulldog laying across my legs upside down, and it's kind of hilarious. It's morning. It's like 8:30. I just finished up my morning meeting and listening. I've been listening to these sermons by this church called Freedom House, which is in, I think, North Carolina. I don't know, one of the Carolinas. I have a friend from high school who I kept noticing her talking about religious stuff. That's what I'm going to call it. And I thought I never imagined that she would turn to religion. And so I thought, well, if she can do it, let me see what it is that she's listening to. So she shared it with me and it's pretty cool actually, because what I've noticed is how much my sobriety program is pulled from these really beautiful concepts that when I listen to sermons are parallel with stories from the Bible. So I've really just been interested in educating myself more. I've never read the Bible, nor do I have any idea what any of the stories are. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you what any of the stories are about or anything. So I'm trying to educate myself and it's been enjoyable. So I just finished listening to a guy talking about joy, the spirit of joy, and and so all of it, as I go to my meeting, if I go to a couple meetings in the morning, they seem to intertwine, like the message intertwines because I hear what I need to hear. So this morning, my meeting was a reading called How Fortunate We Are. And I think it's from the book Coming to Believe, which I haven't read yet, but I have it. So I've been very attentive trying to listen to these new stories. It was a really short story. I was actually like waiting for it to get to the point. Like I was waiting for it to get into the point of the story. It was like I thought it was just giving a background for the story, and then the story was done. And I'm like, wait, what? So, what I heard was this individual was talking about noticing stuff in nature. And that really sent me down this like just memories of snapshots. I talk about snapshots a lot. And I was thinking of a snapshot that I shared with you all a month or two ago, where I was sitting on my new back deck and I had the dogs out there and they were just like sniffing around on the back deck. And there was this big gust of wind and it blew like dozens of leaves off of the tree. And then the wind just stopped and the leaves just hovered. It seemed like they just floated on the air. Um, and there were so many, and I was like immersed in it. They were all around me, and I just was in awe with it. And I even audibly said, "Wow." Um, and it was one of those snapshots. It was a beautiful moment of gratitude where I was like, I wouldn't get this, I wouldn't even notice that this was happening around me, um, if I was drinking. I just wouldn't see it. I'm so self-centered and so focused on what's going on the inside, that anxiety and despair and everything when I'm drinking. So it's hard to notice the seasons change. I don't, this led me to this idea of seasons and how I noticed the seasons around me so much better than I did when I was drinking. And it was made me think about the seasons within me and how I didn't have seasons when I was drinking. It was a cold, dark winter constantly when I was drinking, a cold, dark winter. The seasons didn't change. This guy in the sermon today was talking about the spirit of joy and how no matter what's going on outside of us, if we have joy, it's like a generator. It's like your home having a generator during a cold, dark winter or a storm. And joy is something that is static and stable in our lives. And no matter the seasons, it doesn't affect the joy. It's different than happiness. Happiness is something that we get to enjoy on a day-to-day basis, depending on what's going on around us. Joy is something that lives inside us. And joy is, for me, the ability to see the seasons within me and outside of me. Um, this morning before my meeting, I was talking to an individual who's going through a life-changing event, and and everything around him is changing, and it's hard. It's not fun. And he said, "But at least I have the program." And I thought, yeah, that's right. You know, when I was going through similar uh, challenges in my life, I was still drinking. And so I didn't have this program. I had alcohol. And that meant that I didn't see seasons. I was oblivious to the seasons in my life. So when I was going through hard times, I I wasn't kept afloat by joy. I was really just treading water. I was holding like the book Drop the Rock. I was trying to hold this rock while treading water, and it was just trying to bring me under. And that was constant. That was constant when I was drinking. And today, as I'm able to see challenges ahead of me, I can see it's a season. And even if I can't see it, I know it. Like I just know that something negative, if I'm going through a cold, dark season in my life, I know that it's going to be over and things are going to change and new flowers are going to bloom in my life. New opportunities are going to bloom. I know that because I've experienced it in sobriety. Um, I couldn't see the other side of challenges when I was drinking. Um, I heard when I first got into the program, I heard somebody say the only way to it is through it. And that, although I didn't understand it, I was like, to what? Um, I didn't, it stayed with me anyway, you know, and and I felt that when there was a tough season, I had to go through it. Um, and then as I experienced that over and over, I recognized that, ah, the only way to it is through it. The only way to the other side of challenges is through the challenge. And I've seen it with my stroke. Seen it with my alcoholism. I'm still getting there with my stroke. Um, but I'm a hell of a lot further than I was last year at this time. I've been thinking a lot about that over the past couple of days about how much progress I've made in a year. Um, not just mentally, but physically. Last year at this time, my husband did all the Christmas shopping because I was not able to go online and I wasn't able to go to stores. Like I wasn't able to use my eyes. I wasn't I wasn't proficient enough with voiceover to use it in order to I don't know, shop or whatever. I do anything. And and today, like I don't even think I was recording my podcast with the camera on yet at this time, because I just couldn't use my eyes for anything, and it was so difficult. It was difficult. I couldn't. I really couldn't see at that time that this was a season either. I felt really hopeless, um, and scared. And I've come a long way just by keeping repeating to myself that the only way to it is through it. Even when I can't see it, even when I don't believe it, I just keep saying that to myself. There's a lot of sayings in my program that if I keep repeating them to myself, I get it. I start to get it, starts to make sense for me. Um, so these seasons, both literally and metaphorically, I heard somebody mention this morning in my meeting that when he was drinking, he couldn't see the texture and the colors of life. And he was talking about just that need to chase that perfect drunkenness. Um, And I thought, what is that word? What's the word? Ah, euphoric. I thought that's what I was chasing, the euphoric feeling that I got from drinking. And there's a point that I just couldn't get there anymore. There was no euphoria anymore. It was like I was simply just maintaining a numbness that that had really consumed me. Um, I couldn't see the reasons for the seasons. I couldn't see um, what purpose there was in some of those cold, dark feelings. I was permanently in the cold, dark feeling. Um, Today, I am feeling very fortunate for that really long season that I lived in. Um, I wouldn't say that that cold, dark season lasted my whole life because my early life was not cold and dark. There were still seasons. It's when that I kept picking up the drink that I slowly stopped being able to see the seasons. And I am grateful for what has happened in those cold, dark seasons. I'm grateful because it encouraged me to seek recovery. It encouraged me to yes, realize that life doesn't have to be that way. Um, I talked about using your imagination this week. I couldn't even use my imagination to visualize things being better. Um, I couldn't. And today I rely on my imagination to visualize the other side. And that's how I believe I can get there is by truly believing that there's another side. And what is it going to look like? What do I want my life to look like when I get through this season? Um, I just love today this idea that the guy introduced about the spirit of joy. And that's what I believe that is. Like the spirit of joy is the sun. I mean, he talked about it being a generator, but he was talking about like turn on your generator. But I like to think of it as the sun because no matter what season is upon me, that joy is still living inside of me. No matter whether I'm going through a storm, it's super cloudy, it's windy, no matter what it is, the sun is still shining behind it. Um, I have that sun on the inside of me that is radiating, and other people can see it. Um, that sun is always burning inside of me. Um, so it really equates to what he was talking about this morning, where he said, joy is a state of being, it is stable, and I added it is static. Because it just doesn't go away. It's not like when there's a storm, um, the sun is losing any energy or anything like that, it's just always shining bright inside of me. And nobody can take that away from me. I used to just hand it over, um, because I don't even know that I was handing it over. I didn't have it. I didn't know what that this feeling was possible. I didn't know that it was possible to feel this kind of joy even when things are hard. Um, and that when things are hard and that joy is still burning bright inside of me, it comes out as gratitude. And that's why I can continue to be grateful when things are hard. Um, because I've got that. And how did I get it? I got it by working the steps of my program. The steps of my program introduced me to a spiritual uh, relationship with myself. And slowly, that mention of God in the steps has become something that I've come to believe. And that's what the program told me. It said that we came to believe in a power greater than ourselves. And so when I first stopped drinking, I did not, I didn't believe that. I didn't understand it. I've come to believe in my own understanding. And all of this stuff that I'm building is stuff that I get to keep. It's like all these gifts that I get to keep, and I don't have to hand them over to anybody. Nobody can take them away. Um, Nobody can steal them from me. So I just loved it. Such a positive message this morning about how fortunate I am to be able to experience the seasons of my life, both inside and out, and be able to see the beauty and the lessons. The beauty and the seasons within me are the lessons. That's what the beauty is. Those are the flowers that open in the spring. It's the lessons after the hard stuff. So, thanks so much for listening this morning. I have a lot to think about today that's positive and it feels good. It's definitely heartwarming. So thanks for listening. Thanks for showing up for me. Thanks for showing up for yourself. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.